Hi, I'm Samir Balwani, host of Chief Advertiser and founder of Query, a paid media agency for consumer brands. Join me as I talk to industry leaders about their strategies, challenges, and successes in managing their advertising and marketing. This episode is brought to you by Query. Query is a paid media agency that helps brands balance brand awareness and performance marketing to drive predictable and profitable growth. To learn more about how we can help you, visit weareqry.com. On this episode today, I'm really excited. I have Stephen Racano. I've known Stephen forever. He's the head of growth at Geologie. He's a super smart guy. I learned so much from him, and I can't wait to share more. Thank you so much for coming on today, Stephen.
Thanks for having me, Samir.
So let's get started with the easy stuff. So talk about, what is Geologies? How'd you get there?
Sure. So I'm currently head of growth of Geologie. We've been around for almost right around 6 years now. I really didn't have a complete linear path, working brand side on D2C, right? In fact, we knew each other on the agency side. But going way back to after I graduated college, I did some web development. That's how I got into SEO and analytics. And I've always been about providing, agency level retainers for a good portion of my career. From there, that's where I met you over at Morpheus Media, which became Create the Group, where we did some SEO, and I started an analytics and measurement team there. And from there, I moved on to Group M, where I led a paid search and paid social analytics team. And then my wife's job actually took us over to Italy, so I had to leave my job at Group M and find my own way freelancing. And luckily, a few months after I moved there, I was connected actually by an ex-colleague of ours, Toby, who connected me with Nick and Dave, who are the co-founders of Geologie. They were really looking for a marketing mix model and some measurement and somebody to help understand how they could take their product to market. So I did small audit. I thought there was a huge opportunity on the table, and everything is history from there.
Yeah, it's funny. I am a Geology consumer, and I do love the brand, so I love that you landed there for sure. Uh, it is no, I'm not surprised at all that you had such great success. Uh, you are a very smart person with the ability to try and figure a lot of things out and be able to see things from all different angles, which I think is key for a marketer these days.
And I'm not surprised that you're a customer. One, I stumbled upon your customer profile years
Yeah.
ago, and I didn't know you were a customer. But I'm not surprised because look at your skin. I mean, it's just
I appreciate
younger
that.
figure. We'll probably
I age backwards.
25
It's a
here,
little.
and that's
So listen, Stephen, let's talk advertising because Geology is a skincare brand. You are a men's skincare brand that is swimming upriver for sure, as well as a subscription business. You have so much nuance to it, and there's so much to work out. What are the challenges you're seeing? What are the things that are frustrating you? Where are you seeing opportunity?
Sure. I mean, we recently made a pivot into, wider omni-channel marketplaces, and we also started our retail operations in half the doors at Target this year. So that has brought, a
Congratulations.
ton of new challenges, to the brand. D2C space in general, from 2022 through 2024 has had its own set of challenges, right?
Mhm.
We've seen CPMs rise. We've seen, channels shift pretty significantly within the space. We've really seen just a major shift in consumer behavior back to retail.
Yeah.
So, with that, we're seeing a lot of shifts in terms of how we want to spend our advertising dollars, how much we want to focus in on brand overall, and allow that brand awareness to trickle into the omni-channel presence. And that's been, some of our biggest challenges as we've also tried to stay profitable every single month while we grow, which is, obviously a huge challenge for any brand in this day and age.
Yeah, I love when we talk. You touched on it perfectly because I know you and I talked about this before too. But the shift from a performance mindset into this one, a brand, and how do you make that shift, especially when you are trying to maintain profitability and cash flow positive? Because brand is an investment with a long return window that isn't always easily seen. So managing those investments is really difficult. How are you having that conversation internally, and how are you even just thinking about that?
Yeah, I think, I'm lucky internally because we've always kind of believed in a brand foundation.
Mhm.
Coming from an SEO background, we've always looked at, organic as a huge evergreen piece of our
Right.
business. This really started actually from a very performance-driven approach where we were working with a lot of men's lifestyle creators on YouTube. They would create videos like how to get rid of dark under eyes, or how to
Yeah.
approach skincare in your 30s, beginner's guide to skincare for men. And what that did was it created a foundational element, that was a mix of brand and performance, right?
Right.
And I think that that has allowed us to see the impact that that could have to the business long term in bringing in, quality customers, building awareness, and mixing that with performance over time. I
Right.
think, now that we've reached kind of a pivotal moment in terms of now we need to really go more focused on the awareness and reach side of things. It's not necessarily just about that mix, right? It's how do we actually leverage things like humor and just interesting content
Yeah.
to, carry our brand voice in a way that is going to lead towards people searching for us or being there when they are in market in the future. And that has been a big challenge because also a lot of those customers, they're not coming to us D2C, right? Where we have
Yeah.
first party data, where we have our diagnostic quiz, where they're answering, they're going to Target, right? They're going to
Right.
Amazon, and hopefully that will be continuing to expand. And in those kinds of places, it presents tons of challenges around measuring lifetime value and repeat purchase and understanding who that demographic of that wider reach actually is becoming.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting because you guys are so used to having all the data at your fingertips of saying, okay, I spent X amount of dollars. I know exactly who my customer is, and I know exactly how long they stayed with us. The retail edition does muddy that conversation, and it's something that we work with a lot of our clients on, of just understanding. You go from a laser pointer of measurement to these like very broad strokes of, is it working or is it not working? I may not know exactly what's working and what's not working, but overall, how are we doing? And that can be really uncomfortable for people.
Sure. I mean, I think there are aspects of marketplaces and retail that are very performance driven, and
Hmm.
particularly within the skin, hair, and body care space, right? It's a very concern driven market.
Yeah.
People are looking for solutions to skincare problems, whether that's clear skin or aging or sun protection, right? And retail media, as I'm sure you're aware, is
Yeah. Yeah.
has a huge data driven component to it. And it's still out of your control a little bit because you need to rely on services like Roundel or Amazon
Yeah.
Ads and AI to help run some of those things where it's not as straightforward as like a Google search or a Meta campaign. But you do have the data there, and it can be a good mix of performance and brand, particularly within the skincare space where our main goal is to get people results, right?
Right.
And finding out what they're looking for results for and getting them into the right product is brand marketing and product
Yep.
marketing for us. And that's really where some of the mix comes in. The challenge, right, is where does the humor and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
additional, right? We have a couple of really great creators. One, his name is Jaden Williams, and he's a YouTube creator. He speaks very well to, Gen Z millennial
Yeah.
audience. He's fairly young himself. His video that he did makes fun of TikTok marketing trends for
Yeah.
us,
That's amazing.
and it has nearly 20 million views, right?
It's
Like,
amazing.
I mean, just
Yeah.
incredible. And you go through the comments, right? And every one of the comments is like, this is the greatest ad I've ever seen, but like if you measure the performance of the code that's tied to that, it doesn't do well,
No, it's not going to
right?
do anything. Yeah.
So that's where the challenge really comes in is like what level of engagement are we looking for? What from what audiences? And is that leading towards lift in
Yeah.
from an omni-channel standpoint.
Yeah, and so the interesting thing about that is, from a brand standpoint, is how do you continue to replicate that and build this momentum around it and stay focused to that, right? Because you said humor a few times now, and so like if the brand is going to have this humor element to it, how do you maintain that humor and how do you continually show up with a humorous perspective? Like Old Spice is a perfect example of it, right? Like they doubled down on how they're going to show up, and now that sits with you in that is how the brand appears. And uh, the goal of all of these brand ads and brand moments is to have brand recall. So when somebody is ready to say, you know what, I am ready to go buy my next skincare product, I am, Black Friday is coming up. I'm gonna try something new. Let me go test out what am I gonna try out. You just want to be in that consideration set, right? So if we think about, top of funnel as brand awareness, consideration, and conversion, consideration being I'm ready to make a purchase and I've got 4 or 5 brands in there. The hardest part is just getting into that set. And so that's the beauty of brand awareness. And when people start to measure it as, okay, well, what's my click-through rate? What's my conversion rate on brand awareness? Like those are not the metrics that tell you if you are in the consideration set or not. Like that, you will not be able to measure that piece of it. So I do love that you guys have that perspective and are looking at things like that. But how do you replicate these kind of viral wins or what's your strategy around that element of it?
You know, creative ideas, they come at the most random times, right? And sometimes you're going to market with a new, product collection or product line, and you need to come up with creative ideas that support, the overall, message, right? And a lot of times that's very, very challenging, right?
Yeah,
But some of our most creative ideas, many of which come from the creators themselves, right? I mean,
right.
authenticity is just key for any type of brand. And
Yeah.
one thing that we always do is we always get our creators product
Mm.
weeks in advance of any kind of filming or content creation. And we allow them to come to us with ideas, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
oftentimes know what product lines we want to promote. Um, Sometimes we have ideas that we just set up calls and brainstorm, with them.
Yeah.
When we came out with our hair co-wash, right? Guys like you probably use it in your hair. Guys like
Yeah.
me, I use it in my beard.
Oh, that's awesome.
And one thing that I was recognizing was that my beard dandruff was gone. I guess
Uh,
because it's scalp care, it's good for your face. My skin wasn't, peeling on my face and it was really solving for that. And it was something that we actually, when we just, defined the product benefits, we didn't define it for beard use ever. We didn't define it,
yeah.
we knew it worked well for dandruff on your head. And out of that, I talked to one of our creators. His name is Semi Stupid, and he does some really amazing humorous content. And I told him, I said, we really want to promote this product for beard dandruff. It would be really funny if like he does these skits between him and his roommate. If like
Oh,
his
that's awesome.
roommate had really bad beard dandruff, and it might be one of the funniest videos. I mean, like the engagement on this video, you cannot help but laugh throughout the video
Oh,
and
that's
be like,
awesome.
this is the greatest ad ever. He basically is like scratching his beard and he's like, is it snowing? And then he serves him toast in the morning and he's like,
oh,
why'd you put Parmesan cheese on the toast?
oh no. Oh no.
But it's ideas like that. They just kind of like come at a whim, and you need to be able to execute. You need to understand that they're good for your audience and then find the right partner to execute them on with, right? Because, doing brand marketing, a lot of people think brand awareness, right? How
Yeah.
do I make the most beautiful, prestigious brand video and put it on connected TV? But like, that's not what people remember, right?
Yeah.
People will have name recognition from that, no doubt. And there are some brands that do that really well, right? I mean, but in today's day and age, it's going to be the podcasts and the creators on YouTube and the creators on Instagram and TikTok that create memorable content, right? And
Yeah.
and that's really where we're trying to focus our brand efforts when it comes to the brand voice and the humor and just the reach that will have recall to it.
I laugh because you talk about the beautiful brand CTV ad, and you and I come from luxury marketing, which is
Yeah.
all that all day long. And it's interesting because Um, something that we really focus in on is we'll do brand health tracking for our clients, and we help them with uh, understanding what people think from a brand attribute standpoint. So, worth it for the value is for a person like me. Um, does has high quality. So really the interesting thing for us is always when we look at a brand ad or a brand placement or even a brand campaign idea and asking our clients, like, what is the attribute you are trying to move here? What are you trying to get people to consider? Because brand recall is one thing. Remembering a brand, knowing the brand, knowing what it does is one thing, but making sure that you make it into that consideration set again requires that you fulfill on some of these brand attributes. And luxury does it by saying, we create this lifestyle, and so that's why they do these ads. And you can kind of like fit in there. Fragrance ads are fascinating for that whole element as well. But for the male audience who is so tactically driven and it is definitely a different way to market and a different attribute set that you have to focus in on it and prioritize.
Absolutely. And a lot of our awareness ads are very focused on validation, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we have our diagnostic, and that tells us that over 70% of our customers are coming to us. They've never had a skincare routine before.
That's
They're coming to us because we make finding a skincare routine simple, and they know that we're, quality, and making sure that our brand awareness is providing that validation so they know when they're coming to us, it is worth the price, that we charge, right? Many of our
yeah.
competitors have a bunch of products in the market that you should be skeptical of. They're kind of hocus pocus in a lot
Yeah.
of ways, right? They use a lot of fads, and the male consumer in particular, is very skeptical to
Yeah.
skincare working, right? We didn't grow up in a generation where our parents used it in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
right? And like we see it at Sephora and at CVS and at Target, and it's overwhelming. I mean, how many
Yeah.
brands there are in the space. So, we leverage, one of the things we are leveraging outside of just awareness and engagement, which is where our humorous ads come in, our connection, from that standpoint, is really leveraging our ads from a validation standpoint, right? To let
Right.
people know when they are ready to come into market, whether that is another creator that brings them in, or maybe their significant other ran out of their product in the bathroom and they're just looking for their own.
Yeah.
Maybe their skin breaks out and they actually have a problem that they need to solve. But at that point, they are going to recognize us as the brand that works, right? We're
Right.
derm grade skincare. We provide simple and effective solutions. And that's really one of the biggest differentiators of us in a marketplace where so many brands make that claim, right? So,
Yeah.
challenge to do that when everyone's trying to make that same claim.
Yeah, the it is interesting because I think because you have so much performance marketing history and SEO history, you have this natural ability to connect kind of brand and performance and show kind of that pathway through. When you guys are running brand awareness campaigns or just even thinking about brand awareness and then going into the consideration set, uh, thinking about validating that somebody even needs it, how do you then differentiate against your competitive set? Because I'm assuming that they're all doing relatively the same thing because again, this is a very untapped market. It's also an educational market, right? Like there
Exactly.
is a category education that just needs to happen.
Yeah, and it's an education that is difficult, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
very scientific. Most guys and just people in general really don't understand the foundations of what makes, a good skincare routine,
right,
versus a bad skincare routine, right? What is the difference between a drugstore, you know, a middle of the line or premium quality product and a luxury product. And a
right.
lot of times that difference is packaging. Um,
Yeah,
and packaging can come from a brand standpoint, but packaging could also come from a product standpoint. So like one of the things we really try to, focus on is how like packaging can differentiate a product's efficacy. And
yeah,
we use, I mean, I'll show it. I don't know if it'll show, but we have these, beautiful airless pump bottles, right? And you would say, oh, why,
yeah.
but that makes the product shelf life a lot longer. It keeps the product,
That's so sweet.
fresh and working. Where a lot of, our competitors in the space, they put their product in jars. And, frankly, because they're not using a lot of really core science-backed ingredients, it probably doesn't make all that much of a difference. But when you're
Yeah.
using, high-grade retinols and things of that nature in your product, azelaic acid, kojic acid, it is important to have these products stored in a way. Vitamin C, is another one, having them stored in that way. So it's educating the consumer on like what really matters, what validates the product to make it better in a space that, frankly, it's hard to tell, right?
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
proof is in the pudding. It's all about results, right? So
Yeah.
we really leverage our reviews, our awards, our industry honors and recognitions, to help kind of build that trust and validation as well. Because until you try the product, a lot of times you don't know. And
Don't know.
one of the biggest things we find is that our consumers are often very surprised, um, and I think that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
If they believe and have tried other products in the market that haven't worked for them, and they come to us, we know that that's going to be a long-lasting customer, right? They're
Right.
surprised that they got results from our product, and at the end of the day, that's going to keep somebody on, a healthy skincare routine.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've been talking a lot of like brand awareness consideration, but how do you guys actually then look at measuring that success? Like, how do you look at finally at the conversion level? Is this working? Is this not working? How am I actually growing the business? How do you kind of take a look at that?
Yeah, I think like brand marketing, when a lot of marketers think about brand marketing, they're thinking about prospecting and
Hmm.
awareness. But the reality is brand marketing is a life cycle
Yeah.
focus, right? And I think like when you think about any initiative that is truly life cycle focused, like performance marketing is going to be middle to lower funnel, and it's very easy to define, what is your CAC to lifetime value? Is your
Yeah.
audience qualified? Are you getting the click-through rates and 3-second video views that you expect? But when you take a brand initiative that can cover anything, you have to really like dive into what the specific goals of each piece of content and media and platform, really is, right? Is it a balance of performance and brand? Is it, building awareness around specific concerns? Is it just to get engagement? And,
Hmm.
I think like it's also about the price and value and the perception post-purchase, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like we can talk all day about search lift and follower counts and cost per follower and engagement metrics and positive sentiment, right? Like these are like the ones I think most marketers are thinking about when it comes to brand performance. But like the true measure of brand performance comes in retention. It comes in
Yeah.
AOV, comes in life, LTV. It comes in number of products per purchase, how frequently somebody's purchasing, right?
Yeah.
And I think like these are the things, coming from a subscription business, these were things like heavily on our radar already,
Yeah.
right? But these are the things that we really want to truly understand, as we do more brand marketing is, are people cross-selling between deodorant and body wash? Are
Right.
people moving from skincare, a three-piece set to a 4 or 5 piece set? Which products, are really resonating in driving that perception and that quality to our consumer? And I think like that's really where people should be focusing their brand,
Yeah.
measurement on is because you said it's a long-term game,
It's a long-term game. Yeah, I
right?
mean, the beauty for you guys too with skincare and just your products in general is, if you build a brand, they buy your product and they trust you. It's so much easier to get them to purchase the next different set or your new products, right? Like I always tell our clients, when you launch a new product, the number of your existing client customers that buy that product is an indicator of your brand. If
Mm.
you can't get people to come back and get excited about the products you're excited about bringing into market, assuming they have the need, that is a missed opportunity and something that we need to be really thinking about.
Yeah. And like review count, review sentiment. And like these are the things that move organic, right? I mean,
Right.
coming from an SEO
Yeah.
background, like you're not going to rank, in the top 20 products on Amazon if you don't have a 4.5,
Yeah. Yeah.
quality review. And you don't get that. You get that from having the right product, but you get that from setting the right brand perception, right? Especially when your product is in, a more masstige space. And I know we both have worked with lots of luxury brands. And, it's about how do you maintain the value of that product so people understand it is worth the price, right?
Yeah.
And that they're coming and leaving good reviews, even though it might be 20% more expensive than other Amazon products, which
Yeah.
tend to a lot of times be highly discounted and from who knows where.
Yeah, you have no background on it, and it's just become so normal to say, "Oh, yeah, that's just a knockoff." And you're like, "Okay, but that they don't wanna buy that, right?" Like, it's just so, yeah, it is interesting. There is one, thing that we try and get a lot of our clients to do too is, the "How'd you hear about us?" So post-purchase surveys, adding
Mhm.
in word of mouth as an opportunity, because that is a great indicator of not only do I have a good brand, but is it a brand that people are excited to, talk about? And going back to your humor, uh if you have a great brand with good products and you use your brand campaigns to give somebody something to talk about that goes beyond your product, that can still spur word of mouth and give people something to talk about. So I
In our
think,
space, it spurs a lot more conversation
yeah,
than talking about your
yeah,
bathroom
yeah.
routine.
Check out my retinol. Yeah, like
I
that's never
mean,
gonna happen in a
it's
conversation.
very rare. It's not that
Yeah,
it never happens. I think, like again, I think problem solution, people
yeah,
recognize, hey, oh, hey, you had a really bad acne problem and you cleared up your skin. How did you do it? Right? That becomes
right,
a conversation with your friends on Reddit and many other places potentially. But just like a normal, healthy, skincare routine and habit is not something most guys are talking about.
for sure, for sure. I do want to shift conversations here and kind of look ahead. So, as we all know, AI is changing everything. Marketing is shifting pretty rapidly. Advertising is shifting as well. What trends, technologies are you looking forward to? What are you most excited about?
Um, I am really excited about TikTok.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. For over a decade, right, we've
Yeah.
been saying this is the year of social commerce, right?
Yeah.
Every year is like, oh, social commerce is going to pick up.
Yep.
And it really wasn't until last year that I think we could truly say the day has come where social commerce is a reality, right? I mean,
Yeah.
how many times and you work agency side, you've probably been telling your clients it's the year of social commerce. You've probably
Forever.
been lying for the last decade. Now you could go into a meeting, Samir, and you could say social commerce is a reality, and TikTok has made it so.
Yeah.
And I think I'm very excited about that because it's been such a long time coming,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Meta promised, Facebook, really, right? They weren't
Yeah.
Meta when they started promising social commerce was going to become a thing. YouTube has really tried to make it happen. And
Oh, I remember in-purchase TV ads too, like trying to make it a thing of like your friends are watching these shows with you and they're purchasing these products. And I'm like, no, this is never gonna take off. Like it's
yeah,
just yeah,
uh, but like TikTok puts you right in the funnel, right where
yeah,
where you should be. You learn and are educated about products, and you know, TikTok I think did a really great job of stemming discounts, which has
yeah,
created other problems within the social commerce space that we can talk about. But at the end of the day, it was enough to really feed the industry in a way that I think many brands are seeing a lot of success now with TikTok shops, right?
yeah,
And even being a more male focused brand, we certainly consider ourselves gender neutral and unisex. We have won, a few female beauty awards, and we do have a mixed client base. But we approach TikTok knowing that a big core part of our customer base is male, and we said,
yeah.
are we going to be able to find success, there? And we're like in one of the top 5% of TikTok shops.
That's
So
awesome.
we leverage Creative Challenge through the TikTok creative platform and studio. We work with their affiliate network and we boost the content that works. And we're finding success there. And what we're starting to see is that we're seeing repeat purchases now as
Oh, interesting.
well, right? So I think that the biggest challenge on TikTok shops is going to be how does TikTok shops pivot out of a discount focused mindset, right?
Yeah.
I saw a LinkedIn post that you can laugh at with me. And it was somebody bragging about how they sold the first Birkin on TikTok
Oh, I
Shop.
just saw that too. I
And,
literally saw that.
and
And it wasn't their first. They sold three, right? I
they
think it was
sold
like two or
three,
three.
okay,
Yeah.
and their brag is okay. TikTok Shops is no longer for cheap products, okay. And granted, yes, a Birkin, but they sold it for 6,700 euro, which is
I
like
know.
70% off of a Birkin on a flash sale, okay. And if
Yep.
anybody knows about luxury Birkins, they're like 15 to $20,000 brand new. The three people who bought it probably cashed in on like $5,000 to $10,000, reselling it on eBay.
100%. It's so funny. I love that you brought that up because that has been uh, we have said social commerce is coming. Luckily, we have not been one of the agencies that said it is here because my problem with social commerce and my problem with TikTok Shop still, there are two key pieces that I have. One is brand safety. There is so much trash on TikTok shops that
Yeah.
you get put next to. And for a luxury brand, for even a growing brand, every brand moment matters. And so you have to be really careful. I do think beauty and skincare is a needs to be on TikTok Shop. So if you're a beauty brand listening to this and you're not on TikTok Shop, you are missing a whole host of opportunity. So that is one. That's my first one. The second one is TikTok Shop is really good for low consideration purchases. That is why discount does really well because it cuts out the entire consideration risk. That's why you buy a Birkin at 70, you're like 70% off. Sure, I'll buy that. What's the worst that happens? I resell like there's something wrong with it and I resell it at 50% off, right? Like so it is really good for impulse low consideration or for reaching early adopters. And the hard part about that is early adopters tend to be brand switchers. And you have to be really careful about using TikTok Shop as the only avenue from which you do acquisition and making sure it's not your primary. It is a great place to launch new products, build buzz, but you got to draft that purchase power in other channels. So I am not fully set on social commerce being here all the way. There's still some major challenges TikTok Shop will have to get over, as well as Meta Shop as well.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think given your category specifically, if you are like that, that is a huge growth opportunity for you into the next year.
Yeah, and it's about product selection, right?
Yeah,
I don't think every product, I'm not trying to sell Birkins on TikTok
right.
Shop. And I certainly would not devalue a $20,000 Birkin to $7,000 and brag about it because you know
Right.
what? Like anybody could do that.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Yeah.
really take a lot of skill.
I can take a loss on a lot of things and sell a ton
Yeah.
of things. It's like,
But you're right. It's really all about the product fit. And we launched a product called Blemish Buster Kit, which is pimple patches and acne spot treatment. I mean, this literally gets you results visibly in like 6 hours. And I
it's
have
huge.
proof of this. You could actually watch me on another podcast that I did called Subscription Prescription. I woke up that morning with a huge pimple on my nose, and I recorded the entire time, the whole day. I put on the spot treatment, I used the pimple patches, and by the afternoon, within 6 hours, it was gone. Watch me on the
Oh,
podcast.
I need that.
And
But
it's products like that though that really work. You know what the number
yeah,
one product on TikTok Shops is?
what's that?
A colon cancer screening kit.
Yeah. It's these like super random like impulse purchase products, right?
Yeah.
Like
Ones that
relative low
have
cost.
quick results,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, obviously, everyone is excited about is AI,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I love being, we at Morpheus Media,
Yeah.
before you had your own amazing agency, we had the SEO team, and we refer to it as SEO and emerging technologies,
That's right. Yeah.
if you recall. And I think what is key about emerging technologies is just like you just gotta trial and error everything, right? And
Yeah.
one thing about emerging technologies is like sometimes you try something like months ago and it wasn't a great fit, it wasn't prime, or maybe the right vendor or tool wasn't out there. But like 3 months later, the best thing ever could be out there,
Yeah. You
right?
can't write anything off in perpetuity. I'm like always revisiting old technology constantly for that reason.
I mean, AI, like we leveraged very early on for ideation and helping with process, and it has come so far. in a year, right? Like now we could do prompts and fill in data that allow for our AI tools to like literally have our brand voice,
Yeah.
which is incredible. We're leveraging AI to, watch our ads, read our ad concepts, and, compare them across different kinds of demographics, how they're going to react to them, how it differentiates the product in the market. We're leveraging AI, within our creative space. You could do an incredible amount of fun things, and you could see a lot of trends, popping up that are AI based creative.
Yeah.
But you got to also be careful. There's a lot of AI tools that don't create authenticity. Um,
Yeah.
you could take this conversation and you could upload either of us into an AI tool and try to
Yeah.
do a nice product read. But I guarantee you that product read is going to be really boring and fall flat and not have a good hook, right? And
Yeah.
you might be able to hit the talking points that you want, but it's not going to have authenticity. It's not going to have emotion, right?
Yeah.
And maybe in a year from now we'll be on this and AI will have emotion.
Right.
We're certainly moving in that direction. But right now I would say it's still a little lacking on that side.
Yeah. I think on the creative side, and I use it for some of my content writing, but I don't use it to write the content to get me past the writer's block at the beginning of it.
Exactly.
Right. So I actually have trained a ChatGPT to be a journalist. And I say, hey, I want you to interview me about this topic. And then it creates all the questions as if it were a journalist asking me all the questions. And then I record a video answering those questions. And then that becomes our content for the week. So I think really understanding where the human interaction needs to be, as well as where AI can help you um, move faster, I think is the key piece of it.
Right
Uh,
now,
th-
for sure. I mean, I could give
yeah,
you one use case, but we have 10,000 reviews, right? Plus,
right.
probably closer to 11,000 now. But like, you could load those up
Hmm.
into an AI tool and summarize the benefits across this product. What do my customers like across this product? And then, boom, you have a summary. You know how long it would take me to read 10,000
Yeah,
reviews
no, you're never going to be able to do
and
that.
summarize
So,
it? And,
yeah,
and and then you could take that and write really good product descriptions and really good bullets that really call out, the differentiation of your products. So like those are some of the ways we're currently leveraging it, but we also love to just play in the space. I mean, it's fun to play in. We've always been about trying new emerging technology. Sometimes you're on the right side of it. Sometimes it's a fad, but at the end of the day, it's fun. And if that's part of your brand, then like make it part of your brand too, right? Let the
100%.
audience come along for the ride.
Yeah, yeah, that is awesome. Well, listen, so I know we're coming up on time, so thank you so much for joining us. If someone wants to find you online, where can people learn more about you?
Yeah, you could go to my LinkedIn. I think is probably the best way to connect with me. I post on there frequently, and you could follow some of my stories around how Geologie is focused in on growth and some of the things that we're doing within the space there.
Yeah. Thank you so much again, Stephen, for this is so much fun. Thanks.
Yeah, let's do it again sometime.